Hi, my name is Leah Voss, and today I'll be discussing the antibacterial effects of Manuka honey used to fight Methicillin-Resistant Staphylococcus aureus, otherwise known as MRSA or MRSA. Honey is a major food source for bees, and humans like it too. But there's more to honey than just food. All honey has antibacterial components to it, but today we'll be focusing on Manuka honey and its usefulness in medicine. So what is Manuka honey? Manuka honey is made by Apis mellifera bees, the European honeybee, but it's special because it's made by the Apis mellifera pollinating the Manuka tree, or the Leptospermum scoparium, which is a tree found in New Zealand and Australia. Honey is made from nectar, which has water, fructose, glucose, maltose, and other things as listed in this chart. So you can think of it this way. Honey is just concentrated nectar. So whatever was in the nectar from the plant, that's going to be in the honey. This will be important later. So what is MRSA? MRSA is a Staphylococcus aureus bacteria species that is largely unresponsive to antibiotics. That makes it really hard to get rid of and can be deadly if it enters the bloodstream and becomes systemic, causing sepsis, aka infection everywhere. We all know that honey is sweet and tasty and good to put in tea, but that's not the important factor when it comes to treating infections and wounds. What's important about honey when it comes to treating infections is that it has antibacterial activity. You see the list on the left here and the graph on the right. The graph on the right is a measurement of antibacterial compounds that are present in honey made by Apis mellifera. The different columns represent different geographical locations of antibacterial activity specific against Staphylococcus aureus in honey. Staphylococcus aureus is the bacteria that is present in MRSA infections, what we're focusing on today. Other important factors include polyphenolic compounds, high sugar content, hydrogen peroxide, low pH, high osmotic pressure, and B defensive 1. In this image, the mechanisms for each of the factors on the previous slide are listed. Feel free to pause the video now to read them. Now that you've read it, you might have noticed there was one ingredient present that I did not list before now, methylglyoxal, the secret ingredient of Manuka honey. Methylglyoxal, or MgO, is the antibacterial component responsible for Manuka honey's success in treating wounds. It's present in much higher concentrations in Manuka honey than in other honeys. It comes from a compound called dihydroxyacetone, which is highly concentrated in the nectar of the Manuka flower. The active ingredient in other honeys is hydrogen peroxide. And while Manuka honey also has hydrogen peroxide in it, it's not nearly as effective against tough bacteria like MgO is. While MgO is a product of the Manuka tree nectar, hydrogen peroxide is merely a consequence of the nectar harvesting process done by the honeybees. Manuka honey disrupts the cell cycle of MRSA when applied, halting cell division. Specifically, it disrupts cytokinesis, which is when the cells divide, and the cells can no longer divide to cause further infection. If you look closely at this picture, you can see faint white lines in the center of the cells. We'll explain this further on the next slide. So the bacteria cells go through mitosis just like every normal cell, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. However, when it comes time for the cells to split, they can't. Cytokinesis is disrupted and cell division comes to a stop. Other than the antibacterial activity Manuka honey provides, honey also has a higher sugar content than that is present within bacteria cells. So honey creates an osmotic gradient across the wound. This causes water to come out of the bacteria and head towards the honey and attempts to equalize the sugar concentration across the gradient. This dehydrates the bacteria. Please be aware that the next slide will contain semi-graphic content of a wound. So if you aren't yet convinced that Manuka honey is effective, here is a before and after picture of a wound infected with MRSA and the same wound 5 weeks after treatment with Manuka honey dressings. As you can see, the MRSA infection is gone and scar tissue has replaced it. According to current research, bacteria has not shown any signs of permanent resistance to Manuka honey. One research group studied the resistance of different bacteria towards Manuka honey. One of these bacteria being MRSA, shown as the diamond shapes in the graphs. In the first graph on the left, the group studied resistance towards Manuka honey over a period of time. Although the minimal inhibitory concentration of Manuka honey had to be increased, it was not substantial for MRSA. Afterwards, the group allowed the bacteria to recover from the exposure to the honey. After the recovery time, the bacteria responded equally to the honey and showed no signs of resistance. So in summary, Manuka honey is a natural treatment option made by Apis mellifera. It disrupts S. aureus' cell cycle, thus preventing cell division and preventing bacterial growth and infections. It also effectively treats MRSA and provides a non-resistant treatment option so the bacteria don't become resistant to the treatment and we can continue using it. Thank you for watching.